Hello, and welcome to Greatness Radio. I am your host, Monica Carter Tagore, bringing you information, inspiration, and occasionally even interviews to help you show up at your best. When you've made the decision to go for your own greatness, this is the place to be. Let's get to it. Take control of your narrative. Tell your own story. Your greatness is wrapped in your story. Your greatness is there. It's in the story. You've got to take control of it. You see, your story will get told. It will get told whether you tell it or not. The issue is that if someone else tells it, they're going to mess it up. You can count on that. Nobody knows your story quite the way you do. Nobody cares about your story quite the way you do. Nobody can identify the high points of your story quite the way you do. That's why you want to take control of your narrative. That's why you want to own your story. You must own your story. When you are working to free your greatness, when you are striving for that best and that highest expression of who you truly are, you've got to own the story because the greatness is wrapped in the story. You see, I believe we all have greatness in us, but greatness is not a destiny, it's a decision. It's a decision you make within your story because this is the deal. We all have stories. And out of the 7 billion of us on this planet, the story is the one thing that makes each of us unique. Everything else, there's something others share with you, something that others have in common with you, something that you're possibly one of many doing, thinking, having, being. But with your story, you're the only one who has that story. So take control of it, share it, craft it, shape it in the way you need to shape it. Find the message in your story. Find the gift in your story because look, we all have a gift. Life gives each of us at least one gift, sometimes more, but at least one gift to be able to make our way in this world, to be able to make an impact, to be able to make an income, even possibly to create influence, to touch other lives. You have a gift. And if you don't know what that gift is, it's your job, it's your duty, it's your responsibility to find out what it is. You see, I believe, as I said, that we all have at least one gift, and your gift may be wrapped in your talent, something you were born just plain good at. It's like you woke up just good at doing this thing. Or it's a skill learned from maybe years of doing a certain type of work. Maybe it's your expertise, some expertise gained from going through, from dealing with a certain thing. Maybe your gift is your big idea, or maybe it's your message. Maybe your gift is the message that comes out of your story. It's the message that is crafted from your experiences. It's the message that comes from your living. You see, I have worked for many years helping people to craft their messages, to tell their stories, because at the end of the day, we all want to matter. And if you tell your story, if you put it down in a permanent way, that allows you to make an impact. It allows you to share the insights, the lessons, the blessings, the ideas that come out of your story. And in so doing, you can touch the lives of others and you can make that story matter. You can possibly create a legacy by sharing your story. You must take control of your narrative. It doesn't matter what work you're in. It doesn't matter what profession, what field. Wherever you are, you have to take control of your story. And unfortunately, many of us, we don't do that. We let others tell our stories. We let others craft our stories. We even let others define our stories for us. And sometimes the fact that we've allowed others to define our stories for us, that haunts us for years and years and years. And it creates a negative storyline in our lives. We sometimes experience awful things, terrible things, possibly growing up as children, and we interpret the messages from those terrible things to mean that we are somehow unworthy, we are somehow less than, we are somehow harmed and damaged, and we carry that narrative throughout life. We carry that story. But when you choose to take control of your story, when you choose to take control of your narrative, you can write a different story. You can write that next chapter of your story. You can become the hero of your own story. When you become the hero of your own story, that means that you own your life. You decide that you're the one making the decisions in your life. And if that decision is about going for greatness, then by all means, you're going to go for your greatness because you're owning your life and you're owning the decisions in that life. Now, this is the challenge that some people have with becoming the hero of their own story. They think that, well, something awful happened to me in my past, and you're not saying that I should own that, are you? You're not saying I should take responsibility for that, are you? No, absolutely not. When someone else has taken advantage of you, when someone else has harmed you, has hurt you, you don't take responsibility for their negative actions. You don't take responsibility for their bad behavior. No, that's all on them. But what you do take responsibility for is how you respond to what happened to you. I'll repeat. You don't take responsibility for the bad thing someone else did to you, their bad decision, their poor choice. No, you take responsibility for how you respond to that, how you choose to show up in response to that after that thing has happened, and you get to write that story too. I know it can be very tough to show up in a big, bold way after you felt taken advantage of, after you feel victimized, after you feel as if someone else has just kicked you in the gut. It can really be difficult to show up in a big, bold way, but you can do that because what can happen is that you can take that experience and find whatever positive out of it that you can. Even if it's awful, you can find whatever positive out of it that you can. And sometimes the only positive that you can find out of it is the fact that you live to tell the story. You lived to tell the story. And that's very powerful. That is a wonderful positive. When you've been kicked in the gut, when you've been taken advantage of, when you've been hurt, when you've been harmed, when you have felt as if someone else has really abused you, has done you wrong, and we can all understand why you would respond negatively. We can all understand why you would go downhill after that. We can all understand how this thing would just tip you over the edge into a negative place, a black abyss that you can't rise out of. We can understand that. But when you choose to actually rise out of that thing anyway, when you choose to somehow come out of that thing and stand up and say, yes, this happened, but it does not define me. It does not defeat me. It does not bind me. That's amazing. And that's when you are taking control of that story. That's when you are owning your own narrative. You're writing your own story, even in the midst of something bad happening to you or coming out of something bad happening to you. So yes, if something bad happened to you, and unfortunately many of us go through really terrible things, and for some of us it's really tough to find a way to come out of that thing, and many people don't come out of it. They are forever damaged, they're forever hurt, they're forever harmed. But if you can somehow come out of that bad thing and find something positive to come out of it, and again, the only positive you may see is the fact that you lived through it. If you can find a positive, then you can beat that thing. You can defeat that thing, and you can own your story. You can be empowered to somehow come out of that thing in a better, a stronger way. You see, sometimes tough things can happen to us, but they don't have to defeat us. They don't have to bind us. They don't have to beat us down. They can, in fact, make us stronger. You get to write that story. You get to create that narrative. So if something awful has happened to you, if something awful has affected your life, if you're going through something bad, you get to decide how you will interpret that story. Will it be a story of unfortunately being a victim? Will it be a story of being beaten down? Will it be a story of forever being taken advantage of and somehow being robbed of the life that you're supposed to have? Will it be that story, or will you somehow, in some way, manage to pull from that awful story your victory? Will you somehow manage to pull from that awful story some positive thing out of it? Again, maybe it's the message that you lived through it, you survived it, and that thing didn't beat you. So whether you are skipping through life with no care in the world, or you've been struggling under the burden of something awful that's happened to you before, choose to take control of your narrative. Choose to own your story. Become the hero of your story, because within your story is your greatness. And your past can give you a clue as to where that greatness is, even if something bad happened there. Peel back the layers. Honestly look at your story. See where the message is. See where the lesson is. See where the blessing of your story is. And celebrate the blessing of the story. Celebrate the victory that you were not defeated by that bad thing. That you are still here. That you will rise. That you will shine. That you will be great. Yes, take control of your narrative. Own your story. Write your own story. Don't let someone else write your story. Don't let their poor behavior, their bad choices, what they did to you, define your story or write your story. You write your own story. Become the hero of your own story. You are empowered to take control of your life. You are empowered to be the hero of your own story. And you are empowered to own your narrative, to own your story, and to tell it in the way it needs to be told. You don't have to be defined by someone's negative opinion of you. You do not have to be defined by a single experience of your past or even a series of experiences. You are more than your past. You are more than the experiences that have happened to you. You are more than someone else's opinion. You get to take control of your narrative. You get to be the hero of your own story. Being the hero of your own story means that you get to be the bigger person. You get to make the defining decisions in your story. You get to be the one who propels your story forward instead of simply living according to the negative things that have happened to you. You get to live according to the future you envision for yourself. When you choose to become the hero of your own story, when you choose to take control of your story, that's what happens. Rather than living as the victim in your story, you choose to become the victor in your story. That's what happens when you become the hero of your own story and when you choose to take control of your own story. So write that book you've been thinking of writing. Start that business you've been wondering about or thinking about. Choose to go forward. Chase that opportunity that you have been craving. Go forward and live a bigger, a better, a bolder life than you have ever lived before. Go forward and take control of your narrative, starting today. Your story holds within it your greatness. So go out and be great and be victorious and rise above whatever challenge you're facing. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to go to iTunes and subscribe. And tell a friend too, so they can live and breathe their greatness. And for more free information, inspiration, and ideas, be sure to go to monicacartertagore.com/greatness-newsletter and join the newsletter so that you get all of my best strategies, ideas, and information on freeing your greatness. In fact, go there now and you can get the Greatness Starter Collection, which is 3 free resources to inspire and inform you on your path to greatness. You have it in you. Go on. Set your greatness on fire.